out a long time ago on Len Bias, but this is the month he died back in 1986, and they were just showing a classic game that is at Carmichael because of that stupid scoreboard in the corner. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
North Carolina's home arena. They had a flip scoreboard on the floor.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, but it's a Len Bias game, and Terry Long. There you go. Yeah, I was just naming everyone on the floor just by number and looks.
Well, you named...
I did not like North Carolina, and for some reason, as like a 12, 13, and probably 12 to 17-year-old, I was a big Maryland fan. And I was just telling a nerdy story about my French 1 teacher, Mrs. Finkelstein, went to North Carolina, and as like a 12 or probably 13-year-old, that would talk trash to her about the Terps.
But you named number 32 as Fatso.
Well, he was a chunky kid. Terry Long was a chunky kid.
And then you actually did come up with the name. So you named the entire Maryland starting lineup, which is fairly impressive.
Yes, and then I started going down the North Carolina players like Joe Wolf. Because I also had I think it was a 3rd grade teacher, Mr. Christopher, who couldn't pronounce wolf. He used to call him woofs.
Okay.
Like, what is a woof?
Why? How many times did he have to say woof?
I don't know why we talked about woofs, but I just remember later on I was like, oh, that's Joe Wolf.
Isn't Wolf the new social media platform that Ryan invented in the office?
On the office, sure.
Yeah.
All right, Big 5 time.
Battle-Born Injury Lawyers presents the Big 5 at 5. Number 5.
Adam, Steve, and Ari. Adam and Steve are going crazy, as you've noticed. I need any weird outlet.
Freely admit that I'm going crazy.
Well, we are fortunate. We're not seeing our parents' dream go up in smoke because of looting. You covered Bilal Muhammad, who's a UFC fighter, sent a strong message to looters because his father's business got completely destroyed.
Yeah.
He said, seeing my dad's store, families and friends, small businesses being looted and destroyed is disgusting, man. He goes, I promise if I see you looting, you're going to the hospital.
So he's going full J.R. Smith?
Which I'm not going to say people shouldn't go full J.R. Smith. You're not supposed to by the law. And even J.R. Smith afterwards was like, I probably shouldn't have chased the guy down for, robbing my car or trying to, rustle through my car. But I did it. Yeah. Beat him up.
And you understand the emotions of that moment of like, hey, get away from here. And especially if you're physically capable of chasing somebody down and beating them up, I'm sure there's like like not even pride, but just like a power of like, I can do something about this. I can make this happen. But you're right. I understand why he probably regrets it a little bit. And I know he's taking some criticism for it. In this case, I think you totally understand Bilal Muhammad's side of, hey, like I have a father who has built his small business and I see it, terrorized and destroyed. I will hurt somebody if I see them doing that. I get it. And it's the, one of the real negative aspects of what has been going on recently is that, people have gone after property. And listen, property is not as important as human life, not even close. But you understand, especially when it's the small businesses, like when a corporation has their, store destroyed or looted, it sucks. But you also understand, like, it's a massive corporation. There's a lot of insurance money, all those other things. Like, small businesses don't always have those things in place. I saw one video of somebody who was standing outside just pleading with looters and saying, listen, we don't have insurance. Please, please don't do this. We're not insured for any of this. Like, don't do this. And even if you have insurance, it's not like it's a free reign to go do something. But when, people are put in this position of having that happen, it really sucks. And again, we make sure to reiterate, I don't believe the people that are doing that are part of the protest. I think that's a totally different group that's absolutely trying to take advantage of the fact that the protests are happening and that attention is focused elsewhere and they can go, take advantage of this. And you've seen some organization of that on Twitter. You've seen people saying like, hey, there's protests going on this block. If we go to this block, there's not going to be any cops around there. We can go take whatever we want.
Number 4.
So you've been very vocal on these issues. You're a high profile guy on the market. You're a big time media guy.
Very famous.
I also feel like you, and I've been barking about it too. about athletes, coaches, owners. I think I made a good case about coaches and owners. But we've both been making the case, like, be active, speak up, be part of the effort, try to create peace, try to push forth progress. Odell Beckham talked about it, and he's like, yeah, you know what? If you don't do that, you shouldn't be looked upon negatively.
Well, I think he in particular is looking at the people that are being attacked for silence.
Right.
And there was a lot of signs last night I saw that said, white silence equals violence, things like that. And he's speaking out about, people that are attacked because they haven't made a comment. And we've done this. We've said, hey, this person hasn't commented yet. The Knicks haven't commented yet. What is wrong with them? Now, I think we all have preconceived notions of why the Knicks aren't commenting, because their feelings are what they are. And I don't mean the Knicks players. I mean the ownership and Dolan. But Odell Beckham is saying, let's pause on just outright going after anybody that's not saying anything. There's many reasons that can happen. One of them being scared and not knowing how their message is going to be received. And one of the other things we've talked about, not knowing if they're going to try to make a passionate statement and to actually believe in something and yet get one or two words wrong and then get attacked for it. Like, there is that fear also. So he's just cautioning people to make sure that, you're not attacking them just because they're silent. Find out why they're being silent. And if they actually are understanding and they are sympathetic to everything and they're just not sure how to make a statement or what statement to make, they shouldn't be attacked. But if they're silent because they're, adversaries or they're jerks, then that is the time to go after someone.
Number 3.
Again, yesterday I was barking left and right. Let's go. High-profile coaches, college, NFL, get involved. Do something. A guy like Anthony Lynn on the streets, the Chargers coach, that can help the situation, can bring calm. We saw in the case of, we're going to get to Huntington Beach, Chuck Liddell was out there. I don't know exactly what Chuck was saying, but, there was some dialogue. And Anthony Lynn is very fired up about this, going back to what happened around Colin Kaepernick. And the Chargers coach said, I was surprised by the number of people who didn't know why he was protesting. I got letters from people. I had people walk up to me and ask, Coach, what are you going to do if someone on your team protests? And I had to explain to him that Colin was taking a knee for criminal justice reform and police brutality. And once you broke it down, they were like, oh, we didn't know that. We thought he was protesting the flag. Now, he did say this time around that he's not interested in just putting out a statement.
Right.
He's like, that I want change. So yeah, he's actually he's talking about joining protesters in Huntington Beach. And he was there. He said after an hour or so, I sought out the leader and we had a conversation. We talked about what was the end game after the protest. What is this going to lead to? That's when I got a little disappointed. He said, I got a little disappointed because there was no plan. The protest was there to help people express themselves, but no end game, no plan. He also did pimp the Chargers, saying that the Chargers have done more in the community than just about any organization I've been with. So, that's good to hear, because God knows Pete Spanos has just a horrible, horrible image. I'm not going to say a reputation in terms of, race relations, but Spanos doesn't have a good image.
I also took that as a shot at the Bills, for sure.
I'm sure you did.
And I have been very, very clear about my feelings about the Bills organization in the city of Buffalo and their history on race and their feelings on race and why I'm no longer a fan of that team. So I absolutely took that, and I understood where he was coming from with that. But I think one of the bigger takeaways I had from Anthony Lynn's statement was when he said, I don't want to be doing this in 20 years. Like, we've done this way too long. I don't want 20 years from now to still be doing this. And, I thought that was a pretty powerful part of what he was saying. I think that's a pretty powerful part of a lot of protesters that I've heard, because so many are younger, but the older ones that you hear are like, this has been my whole life. My entire life has been, fighting these battles, and I'm tired of it. And that's part of what has kind of, exploded and erupted during these these protests of people that are sick and tired of doing this. I saw there was a big, I don't want to call it a confrontation. It was a very heated argument, a heated discussion between several generations of African American guys in, I think it was in Texas, and it was like a 50-year-old, a 30-year-old, and like a 16-year-old, and the 30-year-old was he just wanted to burn everything down. He was like, let's go, let's take the whole thing on, all this other stuff. And the old guy was like, that's not working. We've done, like, my whole life has been angry trying to do this. It's not working. And he grabbed the 16-year-old and he goes, figure out a plan. Do something different. We can't keep doing this. And like, you just kind of understand how that's all been built up and how that is. And I have heard, I was talking, it's one of the questions I asked some of the people I interviewed yesterday during the protest of, hey, listen, like, a lot of people are now awake. A lot of people are hearing this and they want to help. They want to work towards something. What is it? And some of them did have some good concrete solutions about, overseeing a different way to oversee different police departments and being more involved and having a voice in some of the reviews and having more open records in terms of police disciplinary actions and things like that. Like, there is some things that are on the table that people want to work for, but I don't know that there is a straight message. I think it's more, people just want to make people realize that it's time to be aware of all these things and start all working together towards solutions.
Number 2.
Adam Hill's been in the mix. He's a sports guy, and he's been covering all the news stories and the protests. And I saw some, nameless, faceless account say, "Why the F are you out there?"
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. Why are you out there?
I'm a journalist.
Okay. But you cover sports.
As I've said, there's no such thing as sports. Sports is life. Life is politics. Politics is everything.
And for you, it's all hands on deck when it's a story this wide ranging. You guys need as much staff as possible.
Yeah. And I am, I know that I cover sports. Like, I have been obsessed with news my whole life. Like, it's why I went into journalism. One of the big reasons. So I do want to be a part of these things. I was there on October 1st. Like, I was there, that night, and like on the scene. It was, horrifying, but I was there because it's news and you want to get people's stories out there.
You were in New York covering hockey, right? At one point, and
there's a Golden Knights Rangers game
that happened in New York, right?
There's a Golden Knights Rangers game. I think it was 2017, and there was, that's Midtown where they're playing, and downtown there was a terrorist attack, and so I talked to work, and I was like, I'm not covering this hockey game. I'm going to go cover this, and we were doing live reports on through our TV studio from the scene. It was like Anderson Cooper, me, like the ABC guy. I don't remember who that was.
Really?
Oh yeah, like we were lined up with our live shots. It was a definitely different experience, and I wrote a front page story on the terror attack and talked to witnesses and did all that. Like, I want to tell stories. I want to be a part of news, and this is certainly one of them. And I have been 2 different nights now out marching up and down, walking with them and documenting the protests and how it's gone. And I've seen almost way over 95% of very positive interactions and very positive speeches and different things like that. And I've seen very, very little of the ugliness. Last night was certainly really ugly, but I read a tweet earlier from one of my colleagues, and I felt the same way. Like, I don't understand how it went from one of the more peaceful demonstrations and protests ever to erupting in 2 acts of violence out of nowhere.
Yeah, Adam was in the middle of the strip, towards the north by Fashion Show and the Trump property. I was coming over there as well, but then talking to you, you were like, hey, the protesters are heading north. So I raced up to legally up towards the Strat and that area. And as I was getting out of my car, that was like the front end of the protesters who were walking downtown, and it was peaceful. I thought it was a community coming together, some chanting, cars were beeping in support, but it was orderly. It was cool. But that was around 8:30, 8:45. And then as the night, got later, I was still down in the area, and I was seeing Metro and all the different law enforcement collaborating racing downtown. And then we were doing our late night happy hour video, and Adam was showing the audience and us what was going on downtown, because you went downtown and you were around Carson 6th and 7th. And then all of a sudden you heard a couple of loud bangs. You may have let out an expletive. That's why it's late night happy hour.
Several.
I mean, you were reacting like, whoa. And as it turned out, that may have been when Metro had a deal with someone right by the courthouse.
Yeah, and I was a half block away, and that was the start of it. Obviously, it got crazier and weirder after that. It was terrifying. I told you earlier, it's not a good mental day. It was just a weird situation where everybody got so on edge. Obviously, I mean, somebody just got killed right in front of everyone. The protesters were then angry because in their mind, somebody was shot again for no reason, which is not true. But like, you have to understand, when they're all standing there, they don't see exactly what happened. They thought they just watched somebody get murdered for no reason. Again, not true, but that's what they all believed. And then they're all agitated and angry and screaming. The police are 100% understandably completely on edge. They had just, known that an officer was shot just a mile away down south on the Strip. Now they have to deal with this other guy that's out of control that they had just shot, and they're trying to deal with that, and all these protesters being angry. Then the protesters are feeling like their voice is not being heard, so they start, a couple of them start like doing things like throwing rocks and antagonizing. And it got to a point we were trying to figure out how to tell the story. We were trying to talk to witnesses, and as we're standing there, there was guns held up in our direction. Now, I'm saying guns. I don't think they're guns. I think it's like the less lethal that they talk about, but they're like, screaming and holding. It was in the.
They're trying to secure the area. They don't know. They don't know what's going on. If someone's coming at them from another direction.
I am not.
At that point, what you guys ran and you tried to find cover, right?
Yeah,
you're a big guy. It ain't easy to find cover.
Listen, I'm not criticizing at all. Yeah. Don't get me wrong on that. Like, I know why they were on edge 100%.
They were. I don't know if you just mentioned it, but they were also on edge because they had another situation going on where a Metro officer got shot, and now he's fighting for his life. That was down at Circus. So, I mean, everything is amped up, and then like, you've got some people who don't know what's going on in the crowd, and it's bedlam.
And it was absolute bedlam. And as I said, now you've got a bunch of people that went from peaceful protesting to anger because now they think another person has just been murdered, which again, not the case, but that's what they think. So now there's a guy standing there in the middle of complete chaos. There's a guy standing there in the middle of the street with his hands up, walking toward the cops, like, you just killed that guy, kill me too, shoot me right now. And I'm 10 feet from this guy. And I was like, sir, shut the hell up. Like, I'm right next to you. I don't want this to happen. Like, don't do this. Why are you doing this to these people? So as you said, me and a coworker like found cover, tried to wait it out and just tried to wait till everything calmed down because we didn't want to start moving around or do anything like that. And then you have other people who are now circling back who had already been dispersed, and they're doing things like flashing a light at the cops. Why?
Yeah, you said there was someone near you with a flashlight, like right near you.
Yeah, like right next to us, flashing a light. Like, what are you gonna do to me? What are you gonna do to me now? You're gonna shoot me just like that guy? Like, settle the F down. It was so uncomfortable, and we could not leave because they were not really allowing you to clear that where we were. There was like a perimeter that was around us, so we were just kind of stuck there waiting it out. It was, again, I am 100% defending. I'm 100% defending.
Well, you were there.
The officers were acting. I'm defending what they were doing. I'm just saying that being in the middle of it and just trying to do my job also was horrifying. It was terrifying, and to be in their position, it had to be a nightmare for them. It had to be.
Number 1.
Do we have confirmation on the Raiders and Henderson? Adam Schefter released a story earlier today. Training camps for all teams will be at their headquarters. There is no Cowboys in Oxnard.
Right.
Raiders don't have an option of being in Napa. Chiefs can't go north to their camp, if I haven't had that correct, if they're still camping in Wisconsin. So what that means is Henderson is the spot, and you guys have now confirmed it, right, at the paper?
Yeah. Yes. Well, there's not really the Raiders don't really have to make an announcement. They don't really have to say anything. Right. The league said you're doing your training camp at the headquarters. So that will happen in Henderson. Here in Southern Nevada, you will have the Raiders having their training camp. It was only going to be a few weeks up in Napa anyway, but now they'll be here. It'll be an easy transition for them, and I know the Raiders wanted to get in there anyway. They wanted to get there before training camp so the players can all understand everything. They can get the shock and awe and the wow factor of the whole facility out of the way and understand where everything is, and now they'll just be there throughout the summer.
Former NFL player and hometown guy Mike Pritchard, 9-year vet in the National Football League, up in 10 minutes as he'll talk about what this means, training camp being at the home headquarters, and also what he's seeing around the country.
It's the Big 5 at 5, brought to you by Battle Born Injury Lawyers. If you've been injured, call Justin Watkins at Battle Born Injury.